Yo, what's going on? This is just going to be an informational video about all the changes in the mod. I'm going to try and keep it quick, but there are a lot of changes. Keep in mind it is unfinished, so there may be differences as I add more stuff, but as of right now, the only characters added are the ones on the screen. So firstly, obviously, the biggest change is flight. So as you can see, the Super Dash button now puts you into a flight mode, and you can move around as usual. Since this uses the Super Dash button, to do the regular Super Dash, you now have to do a command input of down down Super Dash. I know that might mess up some muscle memory, but it is important for the new flying, since holding the Super Dash button now boosts you. And to account for all the added mobility in the skies, there's now an increased range for the playing field, but this only applies while flying, so as long as neither player are flying, it's still just a regular field. Now once you are flying, there's no button to stop flying, but all you have to do is touch the ground and you'll go back into a grounded state. And just a little quick addition, if you hold the Super Dash button as you do a regular Super Dash, you can transition into flight even if you're in a grounded state. So if I just Super Dash and hold it down, now I'm flying, even though I was grounded. Even though if I don't hold it down, it'll still be regular. One thing that might be a little awkward is the collision while flying. This game doesn't have top or bottom collision, only, front and back. So I did kind of have to manually add a top and bottom collision. But it does get a little weird at times. As you can see, if you're just barely to the side, you won't get that top collision. But hopefully for the most part, it's alright. This does also mean some moves do remove your collision a little bit, because if you were to just fall into them, you'd get pushed back while doing the move and miss. And with flying, now you can do most universal things in the air. So while flying, or if you just jump, it'll still allow you to do it. Dragon Rush can now go in all directions if you hold the direction while doing it. So this allows for, while in the air, to kind of go for different angles and stuff if your opponent is moving around. Or if obviously they're above you, you can grab upwards instead. And then obviously there's the attacks in the air, light, medium, heavy. Key Blast are a little special because now you can do them in any direction, and to account for the increased speed and mobility, they do home in a little. So, as you can see, if I shoot forward here, it does kind of track a little bit, but it hopefully shouldn't be enough to be overpowered. But you do pretty much have full range. And for most characters that have beams or beam adjacent moves, you can also angle them. But one important thing is you now have downward attacks and upward attacks. So now instead of just relying on being directly in front of them, you also have to account for being above or below them. I'll get more into combos later, but as of now, those are the main controls in the air. So all supers are also usable in the air. As you can see, Piccolo's Special Beam Cannon or Hellzone Grenade can all be done while flying. And some might even have some extra properties, like now Piccolo can teleport upwards, as well as characters with other variations can be done in the air now. It might be a little weird with some characters' positioning, but you can also call in, and it'll kind of act like a grounded super where they'll spawn by you. As well as level 3s. So everything should work in the air as if it were on the ground while flying. So now to go over specials really quick. So, just like the supers, you can also do all the specials in the air. For the most part, these characters all have air specials, but Nappa, for example, can do all of his specials in the air. And it does get into more character-specific territory, but a lot of characters will have additions to allow them to change their direction, just to account for all the directionality while in the air. But just some really quick examples. As you saw, Nappa can run, Vegeta can do his DPs downward now if you hold down. He can also alter the direction of his kicks if you hold a direction. Goku can kick up or down. As one last thing, every character has a new special with the down-down input. So they have a light, medium, or heavy, and it's basically an attack to transition into the ground. So it's meant for, being above them and then hitting them downwards. So if I do the light version, it's kind of just a regular hit, but the medium version is kind of your way of getting knockdowns. And as you can see, it does bounce back up, but that's only if you have your smash. That's kind of just a combo property. But basically, you'll see it always leads to a knockdown. And the EX versions are a little special. The EX versions don't give you knockdowns, they're more of like a combo tool, but every single one of them does a lot of damage, and they have a special little cutscene. So every character just has a little extra special. So I just want to bring up the changes from the previous mod that are still in this one, which is the EX Super Dash and the Vanish Chains. If you played the first aerial combat, you'll know what they are, but basically, EX Super Dash is a special Super Dash that kind of side switches, and Vanish Chains are just a way to continue a Vanish Chain. So they are slightly different, so I'll real quick go over their changes. Firstly, with EX Super Dash, since the regular Super Dash now uses the down-down input, I didn't want to completely remove it, but basically the idea of it going around the opponent can now be done at any time with no cost. But I figured I might as well leave it in anyway. But now you have to do it after a key charge. So now inputting this regular Super Dash input with a key charge will do a regular Super Dash, but then doing the down-down input will do the EX. But I have also made it so that you can cancel into a key charge from your normals to try and make it more usable. But obviously, a giant aura does kind of give away what you're doing sometimes, but you can mix it up with other stuff. And as for Vanish Chains, they are mostly the same, but to account for up and down vanishes, they do kind of come in at a different angle depending on where the opponent is. And they also gain more damage as the chain goes further. Next, to go over assist, basically I made it so if you're in the air, they'll appear right next to you, or just on your level. If they do track the opponent, they should stay on your level, but some of them might appear right in front of the opponent. As you could see, they also do refresh while you're in the air, as well as calling your assist. Obviously you can change, and if you're already flying, they'll come in the flying state. So this even means in combos you can come in while flying and continue, as well as the special cancel. And once again, if you hold down Super Dash as you do it, you will transition into flight, so you can even change into flight from a grounded combo. Vanishing also has a good bit of changes. So now, instead of only being able to vanish behind the opponent, you can choose which direction you come from, so you can do a same side, and you can also appear above or below. As you can see right there, you can also chain vanishes together. Vanishing in neutral is only half a bar now. I don't know if that'll make them overused, but I kinda wanted an extra way to open people up while flying, since you can't really do high-lows unless you go around them for a high-low. But during a combo, it'll still cost a full bar. Also, the knockback is slightly different while flying. Since you don't fall after the vanish while flying, it now sends them a little upwards, and obviously vanishing downwards sends them up, and upwards will send them to the ground. The downwards vanish also hits on the ground, so you can do combo extensions off of knockdowns from it. And to go with the assist, if you change characters during a vanish, it will now do a special change, where it goes into a vanish and sends out the new character. And this will also refresh the smash, so the character you call in will always get a smash on their vanish, even if you used one. The easiest way I find to do this while being able to choose what direction you appear is to just hold down the assist button while you vanish, so that if you connect, it'll just send them out. And whatever direction you hold, they'll choose. If you're a little late to it, or don't expect it to hit, you can always do a quick change, and they'll just always appear behind them. Now to talk about blocking. Basically, with the new axes given with flight, there's now blocking upwards and downwards, as well as back. All the basic forward attacks are all mids. Moving backwards will block everything. So now, instead of just having lows, you have to actually go below them and attack them from below. I tried to kind of mimic the idea of blocking on the ground, where holding the opposite direction of the attack will block it. So basically, holding back will block, forward attacks. Holding up will block upward attacks, and holding down will block downward attacks. So basically, just think of it as if you're, moving away from them, you'll block that attack. So as a little example, those were the different blocks, up, down, and back. Yo, what's up? I'm from the future. I just want to bring up a specific normal that's good for block strings. It's the 4H, or the back heavy, and as you can see, it's just your 6M. I didn't make it 6M in the air because I wanted it so that you could move around while doing your mediums. Pretty much everything about it, attack-wise, is the same frame data and recovery, same block stun. But the one special thing, if you're close enough to the opponent, it will do a cross-up. So if you're doing a block string, you have to turn around. But you can still block it high, so you don't really have to pick a side if you can react to it by doing a high block. But other than that, it's the same. Can't really combo it or anything without an assist or a vanish. Oh, and it will take the corner. But like I said, if you can react with a high block, you don't have to worry about the side switch. So when it comes to attacks in the air, whether they're blocked or hit, you are able to kind of adjust your position as you do them to kind of make it easier to combo or to mix up by going high or low. So as you can see real quick, if I start from down here and kind of make my way up, I kind of can adjust my position while doing a block string, which does, allow you to try and mix them up by going high. But keep in mind that if they're blocking, you can't boost anymore. So basically, if Nappa's blocking here, I can only slowly go around him. And it's not until after the hit stun wears off that I can boost again. While sparking, you can boost even if they block your attack. So instead of just relying on slow movements and mix-ups, you can now do whatever you want and try and mix them up a little harder. And as you can see, you do kind of just block from wherever. So if you're holding back and I attack, you'll block. And that's just kind of a technical thing so that you can block beams and stuff, since obviously there's no proximity block if I'm over here. So one more thing about the directions you hold to block. Holding two directions will block both directions in a way. Holding up back will block both mids and lows, but it does kind of open you up to side switches because when they're below you, you can really easily kind of go to either side. And when it comes to holding down back, you won't actually block mids while holding down, but if they're high enough above, because obviously if I did a mid up here, that doesn't really seem like a mid if you're that high. So if you see Nappa can actually block a mid even though he's technically blocking high. And once again, real quick, just to mention, the vanishes are highs and lows. So if I have Nappa block here, you can see attacking from above or below will open him up. And now to really quick just talk about grabs. So basically, since there's no jumping while you're flying, I made it so that when you boost, you're throw invulnerable. So basically, if Nappa blocks and I do a Dragon Rush, you'll see it grabs, but if I have him hold the super dash button, you'll see that it whiffs. So it might look a little weird, but basically, as long as you're super dashing, you're grab immune. To prevent impossible block strings, like going from a mid to a high, just because you can, do a mid and then do that, if you're blocking, the hitbox won't actually come out if you're too low. So if you see if Nappa blocks this, it actually won't connect that time. And that goes for highs as well. So even though it looks like it'll hit, just to prevent impossible block strings where, you can do a high when you're, this high above, it'll just miss no matter what. Now to talk about combo structure. Basically, an upwards attack is kind of like a 2H. It's not invincible, obviously, but it will smash upwards. And then your regular 5H smashes forward as usual. And then a 2H will send them downwards. But one special thing about the 2H is if you didn't use a smash yet, it'll transition into a ground combo. So as you could see, he bounced there, and you could continue from the bounce. But if you do use your smash already, it just kind of turns into a regular knockdown. The new down-down specials work in a similar way, but the difference is you can kind of do them easier, I guess I would say, because you can just do a regular combo and then just get a knockdown back to the ground. But obviously it's your choice if you want to leave them in the air or not, because you can just do a regular combo. With the new screen size, some of the knockbacks are a little different as well. So you see a 5H, sends them a lot farther, but as a result it has more hit stun, so you can still combo it. As for auto combos, they still work in a way, but not really, because it won't give you a smash afterwards, it just kinda keeps going. But I have added medium auto combos, so most characters should be able to still do their medium auto combos, even if they're a little different. But to get a little more into the advanced stuff, instead of having a 2M, since obviously that's replaced with, a downwards attack, you have a back M, which will do your second medium in the combo. And as you can see, it has a lot of hit stun, and this is to allow you to transition from doing a certain direction into another direction. If you want to send them to the ground, for example, but you're, in front of them, you can do your 4M and fly around them during the hit stun and go from above. This works with all directions, so basically your 2M and your 8M all have this high hit stun property, so this will allow you to, so you could even go from downwards to mid to high. It kind of allows for a lot of freedom as to what direction you want to send them, because obviously if you open them up from above but don't want to go down, you could instead just choose to go forward. As for the character-specific special changes, this does allow for some, new basic combos as well as new air combos. Obviously that is more character-specific than universal, but it's something to keep in mind. So the new Vanish changes also allow you to change up your combos a bit. You can start from below or above and kind of change your way, as well as a new way to change characters in during a combo, since you can change during a Vanish. And once again, the new upward or downward Vanish does hit on the ground, so that does allow for other extensions off of knockdowns. I have made it so that every character has 25% more health, which is 2,500 health. But that's basically just because I feel like it's a lot easier to get max damage off of combos. So even though they do have a bit more health, I still feel like it'll be the same amount of damage. There are also a lot of ways to transition into a flight combo. Technically, if you never hit the flight button, you can just do regular combos, as if there was no mod even. But obviously you get less damage doing that. But basically at any time, if you hit the flight button while in the air, you can transition into a flight combo. Or, if you hold the super dash button, you'll transition into a flight combo. And just to mention real quick, the hit stun is increased for hitting a super dash in the air. Obviously not on the wall because it wall bounces, but this allows for a bit more time, kind of like the 4Ms, to allow you to change the direction you go. So as you can see, you have a lot of freedom as to what direction you want to do the combo from. So if you put everything together with all the changes, there is a lot more to do with combos. I guess the basic gist is you kind of want to end on the ground every time just for the Oki, but obviously if you're looking for damage you can just dump supers. And just for a little example, this is what I assume a bread and butter combo would be for most characters. So the last thing is going to be about Perfect Reflect. If you can manage to Perfect Reflect a Super Dash, that will now give you a free combo, because it kind of sends them in a spinning animation. The point is supposed to be to replace the 2H. Other than that special property of reflecting a Super Dash, the regular Perfect Reflect is also a little different. So instead of a regular Reflect, where you can still do moves afterwards, and even the Perfect Reflect where they still let you do moves afterwards, this will instead completely stop them from doing any more attacks, but they can still block, so it's not like a true combo or anything. So if I have Nappa block here, you can see he can still block even if he's in the stun animation. This is the same while flying, so if I get a Perfect Reflect, I can do something afterwards, but Nappa can still block. It does also work with the aerial reflect, although it is a little weird. So if you see there, it kinda still gives them gravity, but I guess it's there. Perfect reflecting something like a jump in will kind of bring them to the ground just because they still have gravity, so that will hopefully make it less weird. Reflecting a super dash will still send them in the air though, so you might have to jump to get them or just do a standing normal. So that's pretty much everything. I don't really think I missed anything. Obviously this is a work in progress, so things might change. Let me know if there's any bugs, crashes, or anything weird. I do understand some stuff is weird, like the collision at times, but other than that, let me know. Whether you leave a comment or on the video or use the Game Banana bug reporting thing. And if you wanted, you could also leave like balance suggestions. I'm not really great with understanding the balance, I just kind of play this game casually. But I hope for the most part there's nothing too overpowered in the mod.